have a stack of 21 2025 books that I need to read by the end of the year. So in today's video, we are going to go through my end of the year TBR and talk about which books I still have left to read by the end of the year. I'm going to go through these roughly in release date order. I'm going to go through them month by month of when they were released. And the first book that I have on my TBR is Witchcraft for Wayward Girls by Grady Hendrix. And this is Grady Hendrix's newest horror release. In Witchcraft for Wayward Girls, we're following unwed mothers who are sent to a home for wayward girls to give birth in secrecy. I've read a few of his releases before. I've read My Best Friend's Exorcism, We Sold Our Souls, Paperbacks from Hell. So I'm definitely looking forward to checking out his latest book. And another January release I have not read yet is Death of the Author by Nnedi Okorafor. In this one, the main character loses her job and her novel is rejected. And she sits down and she writes a story about AI and androids, and the plot evolves from there. This is a science fiction book, and I've heard that the writing in this one is amazing. This will be my first time to read Nnedi Okorafor. And then in the February releases that I still haven't gotten to yet is First Time Caller by B.K. Borison. The only book I've read by B.K. Borison is Love Light Farms, and I hated that one. But I have heard such good things about First Time Caller. In this one, a young girl calls a radio station about her mother. She's hoping to find her mom, Love, and the DJ and the mom wind up falling in love, and it's supposed to be a Sleepless in Seattle type of story, and I'm looking forward to giving this author a second chance. And next up we have Greenteeth by Molly O'Neill. The main character in this is Jenny Greenteeth. I have never met her, but I already love her. She is a lake monster, and somebody throws a witch into Jenny's lake, and Jenny decides to save her instead of devouring her. I'm really looking forward to reading this one. It is Molly O'Neill's debut novel, and it just sounds fantastic. And heading into March, we have Broken Country by Clare Leslie Hall. And this one is a mix of romance, historical fiction, and mystery. I'm going pretty blind into what this one is about. I do know it is a Reese's Book Club pick, and the reviews have been overwhelmingly positive. And then we have The River Has Roots by Amal El-Mohtar, who is half of the co-writing team that wrote This Is How to Lose the Time War. I read that book earlier this year and absolutely loved it. I know that the writing in this one is going to be gorgeous, so I'm really looking forward to this. It is pretty short. I don't know much about it, but I do know that there are enchanted willows in this one, so that's pretty much all I need to know. And now we are getting into the April releases, and I have Say You'll Remember Me by Abby Jimenez. Last year I read Abby Jimenez's Part of Your World series. It's Part of Your World, Yours Truly, and Just for the Summer. And I'm really enjoying Abby Jimenez's writing and her stories. And I actually started reading this as soon as it came out, but the author's note mentioned that it dealt with dementia, and I just wasn't in a place where I wanted to read something so emotional. But I would really like to try to get this one read by the end of the year. I know there will at least be a happily ever after, and so I am still looking forward to giving this one a try. And then next up I have Freakslaw by Jane Flatt. This is a new horror release that follows a traveling carnival that is seeking revenge. And we are going to be buddy reading this one in October on the Horror Spotlight Discord. I'll leave a link in the description below in case you want to join us for the buddy read or any of our monthly reads, or just to chat about horror and non-horror and chat with a group of like-minded individuals. And then carrying on with April releases, I have The Raven Scholar by Antonia Hodgson. I was originally pulled in by this cover, but then I learned that it is also a fantasy mixed with a murder mystery and dark academia, and it just sounds really great. So I am looking forward to jumping into this one as well. It's also super chunky, so I'm hoping that I get thoroughly obsessed with this one. I was not originally planning to read When the Wolf Comes Home by Nat Cassidy, but all of the YouTube reviews have been so amazing, and I'm now super excited to check this one out. I'm really looking forward to seeing what everybody is loving about this one. All I know is a woman finds a small child, I think he's like 5 years old, and they spend the rest of the novel running for their lives from the boy's father. And now we are heading into the May releases that I still have not read. And first up, we have Anji Kills a King by Evan Leikam. In this one, Anji works for a king. I think she does cleaning for the king, and she winds up killing him. And I think she spends the rest of the novel on the run, having killed the king. And this is another one where the cover drew me in, and then the story also sounded exciting. And then we have the Wish Switch, which is by Lynn Painter. And honestly, I bought this because of Lynn Painter. I have enjoyed her adult romance and her YA romance. And this is a middle grade that has to do with friendship and magic. And I just think it's going to be an adorable read. And I really can't wait to spend some time with a Lynn Painter middle grade book. And then we have The Man Made of Smoke by Alex North. I have not read any of Alex North's previous thrillers, so I'm looking forward to reading this one. All I know about this one is it is a serial killer thriller, so hopefully it'll keep me engaged and will be good for this fall or winter. And then the only June release I have that I still haven't read is Sounds Like Love by Ashley Poston. This is the author of The 7-Year Slip, which I have not read yet. It is high on my wish list because the reviews have been really great. And this one is about music. I love reading books about music, and honestly, I haven't read enough. So I'm looking forward to checking this one out, both for reading an Ashley Poston and for having a romance that deals with music. The main characters, one is a songwriter and the other one is a musician, so I think this one's going to turn out to be really great. And now we are getting into July, and this is a horror novel by Stephen Graham Jones, Killer on the Road. This is actually a dual bind-up of Killer on the Road and The Babysitter Lives. I think the only one that is new is Killer on the Road, so I'm probably only going to read this one, and I'll save the Babysitter one for next year. And this is dealing with a road trip. I think it's another serial killer, and the kids that are on the road trip, I think they're teenagers, are fleeing from a serial killer, and it's Stephen Graham Jones, so it should be a good time. And then I have another horror novel, which is Another by Paul Tremblay. This is a middle grade horror. I used to read a ton of middle grade, and I haven't been able to read a whole lot of middle grade horror lately. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what Paul Tremblay does with middle grade horror. And this one is about a stranger, a kid stranger that shows up at a boy's house and asked to spend the night. And this boy is very introverted and doesn't have friends. And so basically his parents are just really excited that he has a friend. So they agree to let this boy spend the night. And I think it gets continuously creepy as the night goes on. And then we have We Won't All Survive by Kate Alice Marshall. I really should do a video just on Kate Alice Marshall. She has written so many books that are favorites of mine. She writes so widely. She has adult, young adult, middle grade, horror, thrillers, and this one is a young adult thriller. This follows a survival reality TV show, but I think the contestants are actually dying. And that brings us into August. And first up, I have Lucky Day by Chuck Tingle. This is actually my most anticipated book of the year, so I'm really looking forward to this one. I loved Chuck Tingle's Camp Damascus and Bury Our Gaze, so I'm really looking forward to reading Lucky Day. This one follows a statistics professor at the end of the world, I think, or a global traumatic event has happened and she is a statistician. I'm mostly looking forward to just Chuck Tingle's take on this story. He is such a treasure, and I'm so glad that we get to read books by him. And then next up, we have Katabasis by R.F. Kuang. And I actually started reading this one last night. I'm about 40 pages in, and I'm absolutely loving it. This is a dark academia fantasy novel. Our main character's professor has gone to hell, and she is going in after him to bring him or his soul back. And this edition, oh, it's so heavy and it's so beautiful. It is the Barnes & Noble edition, and thankfully my friend Stephen Gomsey mentioned that the Barnes & Noble special edition was the same price as the normal edition. So if you plan to pick this up and you haven't yet, I would head to Barnes & Noble because this edition is really high quality and super beautiful. And then heading into September, we have Play Nice by Rachel Harrison. Rachel Harrison's books have been hit or miss for me, but I did really enjoy Cackle and I like The Return. I am looking forward to reading Play Nice, especially since it is a haunted house story. She is renovating her childhood home, which is always a fun trope, and she tends to write horror that has a cozy element to it, and it feels unique when I'm reading her story, so I'm really looking forward to her take on a haunted house. And I am such a fan of T. Kingfisher. I don't normally like fairy tale retellings, but this one is a Snow White retelling, and our main character is someone who cures people who have been stricken with poison. And so the king has asked them to save Snow, and I just really enjoy T. Kingfisher, so I'm looking forward to checking this one out. And we are currently in September, so that brings us to current day, and there is more left of the year, so I will certainly be adding to my TBR, and when I do, I will keep you updated. Be sure to subscribe and follow along with me reading these books before the end of the year. Be sure to leave me a comment to let me know you are here and which books you've read, which books you're looking forward to reading, or which books I should prioritize in this list before the end of the year. And I will talk to you soon.